Wow, what a year it has been. We at SCCAP, we just want to take a moment to say thank you to all of you. Because of you, SCCAP is still here. Whether you're donors, volunteers, community partners, you've been a part of making that possible. In a year unlike anything we've ever seen before, SCCAP is still here, still at work, helping our community, helping families who are in need. This year, we've seen some really painful things. And yet we've also seen some amazing things. We've seen our community come together in a way that is really powerful. So we want to take a moment to share that with you.
The first issue that we saw through the pandemic was people struggling to eat. And we still see that in waves. We've served about 1,000 new families who've never ever come in for food assistance before, who've come in to get food. And so thankful we've never had to turn someone away. What's been really telling this year is the number of folks who are at risk of losing their housing, at risk of losing their cars, who are struggling with no food, all through no fault of their own. So, these are direct impacts of COVID. So whether they're working at a restaurant or whether they're working in the service industry somewhere else, maybe in a hotel, or we've had truck drivers who weren't able to continue driving because the downstream issues from COVID, it has been pretty dramatic. And this year, since July, we've helped 10 times the number that we would typically help in a year. And what's the most concerning is we're just scratching the surface.
So 2020 has been a rough year for everyone. There are some things that just don't give. You have to be able to put food on the table for your kids and provide clothing. There are certain things that just don't give. And when you add it all up, that one adult losing a job is hugely impactful.
One of them I remember was an elderly lady. She had a mobile home and she's just really struggling to just afford to be there. Her family was ready to move her out. She had holes in her floor. It went straight to the belly of the trailer. There's cold air coming in. We were able to go in, seal the holes, insulate the house, air seal. She was able to stay in her home, and it was huge. Really hits home to why we have a weatherization program.
One of our stories is that we had a senior that lives a little bit outside of town. And so when Sarah called, she says, I need to go grocery shopping. And my kids say, I can't go out, and they've taken my keys. And Sarah says, let me talk to Lisa. Let's see if we get your stuff today or tomorrow. And that has worked out really well. So Sarah made a point to make sure she called all of the seniors to see, how are you doing? And, how can we help? And she listens to, whatever their topic is of the day. She puts it in front of their door, and then she'll knock on the door and she steps away. We have these amazing people that just step out of their comfort zone. They could stay home where it's, warm and safe. And here they are. And I don't know how we couldn't do it without them.
I was talking to someone last weekend on a Saturday as we were trying to work on her case. And she was facing eviction. She has worked throughout the pandemic, but is working less. And she was living on the edge before. And I said, when you sign this paperwork, you just need to understand it. You're saying that you're really trying and that you're paying what you can. And she started to cry. So hard because so many times this has happened this year, but she said, I'm trying so hard to make this work. She said, I'm trying to keep a roof over my kids' heads, let alone provide Christmas.
There was this elderly couple who lived in the community where I live, and they called in asking for utility assistance. Throughout the conversation, she was speaking how she's falling behind in rent. She was also unable to pay most of her bills going forward just because of the amount of medical bills she was getting from her and her husband. They said they were out of food completely. And I was able to work with the pantry. Yeah, I was able to take it on my lunch break because the family lived down the street to me. And that was honestly wild because it was the first case with, at least in my block, that a family was struggling. And that was kind of eye-opening, having someone down the street who needs rental and utility assistance. It was just real to me.
Everyone is suffering in some way. So whether it's isolation or whether you don't have enough money to feed your kids, or you're worried about your grandma, like everyone is dealing with something. And I think when we're able to provide assistance to families to get them through, whether it's keeping them in their house or keeping their utilities on or making sure they can feed their children, those make it so that this is a bump in the road, but not changing the trajectory of their life. And I think that is so incredibly powerful. When we received so many different funding streams to try and help with rent, which all came with their own set of regulations, instead of making it complex for clients, our staff learned all of those regulations so that when somebody applies who's desperate, they didn't have to be the ones trying to navigate a crazy system. Our staff could do that for them.
Most individuals receiving the funding are relieved. They are almost stunned. I can't believe I had this insurmountable problem and it's gone and I don't have to pay it back. I'm not going to have to dig myself out of a bigger hole. The hole was just filled in and I can walk over it.
SCCAP helped people to keep going. With this pandemic, it helps a lot of our community in a way that they keep going in their life, not to get stuck in where they were. So that's a very big help for the community.
Circles alone and SCCAP has saved my life, my mental stability. And if it wasn't for Circles, who knows where I would be? Because truth be told, when we meet up, it makes that difference. It really does. And we're all from different places. I'm from Puerto Rico. I'm from, low income. And we have people from everywhere. Tanya, we have all the allies. They come from different backgrounds. And the way we mix in all our different backgrounds, it's just like, I'm telling you, you need to join us because it's good. It's amazing. Like, we put our heads together. And even though we have different point of views, there is a point we all get to connect and say, yes, so interesting. And I love whenever it's time for our meetings, I'm like, I'm here. Like, I'm telling you, Circles is everything for me.
We've learned in a deeper way this year how important it is for us to be connected, to stay connected, to find ways to be connected. And as an organization, we've also learned and seen that in new ways. And through this pandemic, one of the amazing things we've seen is partnerships that are strengthened, such as partnerships with MILPA.
And MILPA is organization to working for some necessities on the community here on PA. We work much with the Latino communities. A lot of people on that time when the virus started is lost the job. When is people have a much necessity of food, is when start organize fundraisings and communication with churches or organizations like SCCAP.
One of the reasons that we ended up collaborating with SCCAP was because it's a local community resource that already exists. So when we first heard about the food needs, we were originally brainstorming a food drive. And after having a meeting with the food task force that had started due to COVID, people who were part of SCCAP were like, wait, we have a way for these families to get food and we can organize this and help. That really made a difference in it going forward and the need being met faster. That was amazing because we had no food organization experience before.
At home, I have two children, a 9-year-old and an 11-year-old, and I had their full attention when I was telling them about this upcoming meeting, and to be able to talk about what SCCAP is doing in the community. And it's interesting to see how an innocent mind just kind of sees that and says, well, isn't that the way it should be? We're supposed to be helping each other in this community. Like, we're supposed to support each other. I don't know what this community would do if SCCAP shut their doors. I just don't know who else would have filled in the gap.
So many people give to SCCAP, and so many more gave during this time. And whether your gift was $10 or $10,000, every dollar is used in our community.
Having all of us work together to make a difference in the lives of local friends and neighbors to make sure that they make it through this well is amazing.
We cannot do our work without you. So thank you.
Many thanks to all of you for making this possible. Because of you, SCCAP is still here, and the year ahead is going to be challenging, and yet we look forward to it with great anticipation. We are excited about the way this community has come together and will continue to come together. So we want to say thank you to all of you.